Good morning and welcome to day number 25. I actually feel pretty good this morning, so I'm going to head out there and do my power hour, and I'll come back and report back to you. Hello and welcome to video 2 of day number 25. First, to report on my power hour. Things went really well, and as I mentioned this morning, it feels like it's easier and easier to get up each morning and to get into my power hour, so that's really cool seeing the results of setting a pattern. So I wanted to start by reporting on that and jump right into the power principle. As I talked about yesterday, I had a chance to stand in front of a large group of people and give a presentation. It was almost an hour long, and it was a topic that I chose and that I created the entire content for. A lot of it was my own unique ideas, and I was able to stand in front of a large group of people and give that presentation. And I want to contrast that to where I used to be, so you can see what kind of a fear it is to stand up in front of a group like that, even to stand in front of a camera like this. Because there used to be a time in my life where I was terrified of people. I was painfully shy. I remember being in the junior high and being so afraid to talk to people, and I didn't have any friends that I went to school with. And I would walk around the school in circles hoping that nobody would see me. And I would run to the drinking fountain so I could go and get a drink and pretend like I was busy, and no one would notice that I'm there all by myself, because I was terrified anybody noticing that I didn't have friends. I was terrified of anybody trying to talk to me. I was so extremely shy. So how did I get from that shy person to the person I am today? Being able to stand in front of a group of people and being able to be outgoing and being able to talk to people. Well, I can tell you one thing, it took a lot of work. It's not just a natural thing, which is one mistake people make. They look at it and say, oh, it's just natural. It's just your personality that you're more outgoing or more daring or whatever it is. But it wasn't. It was my fear that kept me so shy. I was terrified of talking to people, so when I got around people, I was extremely awkward, unless I got to know them really well. Okay, that was my story. And I learned to overcome that. And that's what I want to talk about today, how to overcome your fears. Because even over the weekend, standing in front of that large group of people, that was a big fear for me. And I learned to overcome that. And it was a really big and very beneficial and powerful step for me to take. So how do I do it? I want to tell you my number one tool of how to overcome fear. Because people let fear hold them back in all areas, whether it's talking to people, which will hold you back in business, which will hold you back in relationships, obviously in something like dating and marriage, it'll really hold you back. But people are afraid of other things too. They're afraid of really going for it. They're afraid of digging deep. They're afraid of getting hurt. They're afraid of failure, and they're even afraid of success. And my experience is that fear is one of the number one things that holds people back from creating the life that they want. They're too afraid to do what they know they need to do. So what you get to do is look inside and say, in what area am I letting fear hold me back? As we talk about this conversation today. So a tool that I learned, a man named Chris Williams taught me this, and he taught me in probably like 2 minutes. I'm sure he doesn't even remember this conversation, but it had a profound impact on my life. And I was struggling with talking to people. And I was struggling with being able to be outgoing and go introduce myself to somebody and talk to somebody, which is so important in the world of business. And at that time, I went to him and I said, what can I do? And he gave me the analogy of a ballerina dancer. He says a ballerina in a play has to do the splits to a certain point, and they have to hit this exact angle in their dance. Well, in practice, if all they ever did was stretch to that certain point, then when the performance came, it would still be a stretch to hit that point. So he said that the ballerina stretches beyond where they actually need to be. They'll stretch further so that when the time comes to perform and they need to stretch to the point where they need to, it's not at all a stretch for them. It's very easy. And he said, do that same thing. When it comes to talking with people, meeting with people, introducing yourself, being outgoing, stretch yourself beyond what is actually necessary, beyond what you would need to do when the time comes and when it actually counts. And so I started doing that. I went and started being extra outgoing. and being extra open in front of people. And guess what? It was really hard, and it's sometimes very painful. But I kept working through it and getting past my fears. And every time I did it, at the end, I felt liberated. Because every time you conquer your fears, you become liberated from that fear. And then when the time came where it actually mattered, when I showed up in front of people and I needed to be open and I needed to be outgoing, it was so easy for me. It was such a huge transformational point in my life and something that really defines me today. And it's a tool that I always still use whenever the time comes that I'm starting to feel fear. I'll be honest, the first time somebody said, stand in front of a camera and record a video, I froze up. I was terrified. I was really afraid. And I thought of that example of the ballerina, and I said, stretch beyond. And I did that. I stretched beyond what was necessary, so that when what was necessary happened, it felt easy and natural. I've used that over and over again. And again, you look at your life. In what area of your life are you letting fear control you? Find what it is, and the activity for this entire week is to go outside and stretch beyond what is necessary. Go outside of your comfort zone, stretch beyond. And as you do that, you'll begin to feel fantastic about yourself. You'll feel every time you do it, you're going to feel liberated from your fears, and you're going to be able to get the results that you want because you're taking the actions that you want. You'll create whatever life you want, which is why you'll learn to conquer your fears. You'll learn to conquer your life.